Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hunger for the Hustle podcast. Wherever you are watching on from in the world, whatever platform you're watching on, welcome along. I am joined today by Karl Davidson, who is live in Taiwan. We'll get to why he's in Taiwan in a minute because he's actually from Ireland. Karl is a professional engineer, an online business owner, a qualified NLP practitioner, and also runs multiple Facebook groups, one of which he's got the t-shirt on, Cashflow Club Ireland. The Facebook groups he runs help people understand finance and how to get money working for them. A man of many talents, a man who loves to travel, and I'm looking forward to diving into Karl's story and what drives his evident hunger for the hustle. Karl, welcome to the show, mate.
Nice one, Jake. I really do appreciate being on the Hunger for the Hustle podcast. Wow, super blessed. I've seen a lot of people who've been on this, and to be sharing the podcast with them, it's incredible. So again, thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. And number 83. What a number! Here we go.
I've got up there pretty quickly, and I really enjoy the show, which is evident. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done that many. And every one I do, I always find that I learn something from, and I don't think this is going to be any exception with you here today, Karl. So, I mean, let's start with where you are and why you're don't How did you end up in Taiwan in this strange time that we're in the world, where most people don't even want to or couldn't get an international flight?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because by trade, I'm an electrical engineer, and I've worked for some of the top semiconductor companies in the world, like places like Intel, places like Global Foundries in Germany, TSMC here in Taiwan, other companies like SK Hynix, and it's been an incredible journey. So I'm over here doing a bit of training as well, and just broadening my horizons, broadening my skill set. And I'm just gonna chat to so many people over here, so it's gonna be great. So I'm over here actually for the next, think about it, like 10 weeks. I'll be coming back to Ireland in around April, and unfortunately my wife is not with me, so it's 12 weeks in total alone, but obviously we can do the video calls and stuff like that, but it's tough, it's different, because like 2020, wow, what a year. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Like we were actually at the start of 2020 living in China. We were like living together in China for 2 years. And then when we came back for a holiday in 2020, then we kind of got stuck in Ireland, and we couldn't go back to China. And then, we were kind of living out of, my mother's house and then her dad's house as well. And so it's kind of setting us up for a bit of an LDR, a long distance relationship for the time being. So difficult, it's interesting though as well, because again, I have a lot of space here. So I'm able to, open up my mind to different areas, different avenues as well, and different learnings. So it's going to be an interesting 12 weeks. People that are listening to this, buckle up, because you're in for a ride here.
And it's interesting that, isn't it, mate? Because you've kind of done it backwards there to what many people have. Many people who are in relationships perhaps were, one person got stuck in one place, one person got stuck in another, kind of forced into a long-term relationship where other people were sandwiched together, which, one to a better word, you were kind of sandwiched together with your missus there back in Ireland. But now on the other side coming out of it, you've gone to long distance because of work. And I think, as I know, you've been married with your wife, Rona, for 8 years now, haven't you? So, is that right?
4 years. Close.
Years.
It'll be 8 years and 4 years. So
I'm half right. I'm half wrong.
That's it. So
and that fellow was with his missus for 8 years, but nice. Distance, time, absence makes that hard for fonder, and particularly if you've been with someone for that long.
It will be 4 years anniversary now this year, and we've been together the whole time, and to experience this in kind of at the start of our relationship it's interesting. It's really interesting. I'm finding it interesting. I'm sure she is too as well. And it's gonna be an interesting story to tell the grandkids as well. It's like, Jesus, your granddad was over in Taiwan for a number of months, so yeah, like, look, you know, it's all a part of our journey. It's all a part of our story as well. And, you know, it will inspire other couples as well that, you know, how do you do it? You know, how did you get through it and stuff like that? So, yeah, I mean, we have video calls, and, you know, we'll play a bit of music and we'll have a little dance like together, like, you know, we'll have a little bop. We'll put on some cool music, and all we'll do is just, you know, rock it out, like, because, like, you know, it's fun. You know, you have to make it fun.
Yeah. you do. But fun is one of the most important ingredients in life. I really believe that. I think it's overlooked, underrated, and I think it's one that, if people had added, and I'll be guilty, I'd say I'd be guilty of this myself, because I threw myself into work last year when things closed down a lot. If you put a bit more fun into everything, it makes things a lot more easier to digest, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Listen, Jake, my middle name is fun. If I'm doing something and it's not fun, then I'm not doing it. You know, I'll make it fun in whatever way, shape, or form. Like, I'll, you know, turn this podcast into fun, because, like, through my energy, through my words, through my actions, like, you know, I know that there's going to be people listening to this and just smiling because of the energy that I put out there. So, you know, that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun, because, you know, life's too short. You know, you can't I mean, look, I understand that there's going to be you know, trials and tribulations in your life, and I understand that there's going to be times when it's not fun. But you know, you got to look forward to the fun times, because fun times are ahead for everyone in 2021. I mean, you got to do it. You got to, like, as I said, like, you know, just on a video call, like, you know, with my wife, like, we put on the music and we just have a bop around, like. So I mean, you know, we could talk, but, you know, it's like, all right, let's make this video fun, like, you know, let's have a bit of fun. So yeah,
get some movement in there. That's the one.
Absolutely.
Another thing we were talking about just before, when we're off camera, Karl, and actually I know you love a dance, because when I entered the back room with you were dancing away there, so it was always good.
Yeah.
But you've been doing a year with no beer. What made you do that? How did it for you?
It's a good question, right? So back in 2018, we moved to China, and before when we got to China, we had to do a load of health tests to make sure that, like, we're not diseased in any way, we don't upset their biodiversity and stuff like that. So we basically had to get a bunch of blood tests and all that sort of stuff, get checked over. When I got my blood test back, they found something in my blood, and I was like, oh, geez, what the hell is this? Like, you know, at the time I was like 28 years of age. I felt like I was relatively healthy. Like, you know, I didn't feel like that, you know, I had any bad diseases or anything like that in my body. I did another blood test, and then it was kind of more evident that they found something, and I was like, what the hell's in my blood? Like, so they told me that I had high ALT levels, something to do with the blood. Didn't really understand it, but they basically said that, you know, I need to drop, my levels were off the chart. I mean, I think it's between like 0 and 50 is a normal range. Like, mine was 250 or something. So I had to drop it down. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what it is. I didn't really look into it much, but I knew that I had to drop it down. And the way I had to drop it down was basically get fitter, drink more water, and drink, you know, and just kind of flush out the kind of toxins in my body, look after my liver, because what it meant was I was diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So actually that made me think, oh, so there's an alcoholic fatty liver disease. What's all that about? So basically I had a lot of fat over my liver, basically, you know. So then I just kind of got on a bit more of a diet, you know. I was vegetarian, but I kind of became a bit more stricter. I also started drinking loads of water, milk thistle. I went to a TCM, a traditional Chinese medicine. I said, look, anything for the liver, and, you know, to detoxify it, to, you know, generate it, you know, make it better. And yeah, they said, like, yeah, take this. So I started taking this, dropped down the levels, and I was good to go in China. But, you know, it made me think about my liver. And it made me think about, like, okay, yeah, look, you know, stereotypical Irishman, you know, drinks a lot, you know, what about changing it up? So I wasn't a big drinker before that. Like, I do enjoy an odd pint of Guinness, and, you know, I do enjoy going out and having a few drinks and stuff. And you know, the odd time I will get absolutely buck wild. But, you know, it made me think about just my health and my liver, and how, like, I'm growing older now, so you know, you think when you're younger you're untouchable, but as you grow older, you know, life hits you, and you start to become a lot more touchable. And yeah, so I think it was at the end 2019. It was 2018. I kind of went on my kind of journey of reducing that ALT level in my liver, and then I didn't drink that much. I was actually scared of drinking, like, because I was like, I don't want to mess up my liver even more. I know it's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, but I don't want an alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it kind of just freaked me out a little bit about beer. And then at the end of 2019, at the start of 2019, end of 2018, started 2019, January 2nd, me and my wife just said, right, let's try a 1 year no beer. So we were doing that. And it was interesting because in 2019 we had our honeymoon. So this is a really, really interesting story, right? So we got married back in 2017. We prolonged our honeymoon to 2019, and we went to Australia. So we went to Sydney, Australia. We stayed down there with some cousins. And that was great. Sydney, lovely city, a little bit like a sunny London. So yeah, it was really interesting. But we also went to Samoa and Fiji, and I was craving like a beer. And I tried to get like a non-alcoholic beer, and I just couldn't get it anywhere. So I was just like, okay, this is a little sign. So let's keep going. Fast forward 10 months, we came back to Ireland, and we went to one of Brona's cousin. He owns a distillery in Dublin, Pierce Lyons Distillery. Absolutely fantastic whiskey distillery. He's passed away since, but his family are looking after it, and they're giving back to the community, and it's a fantastic whiskey distillery. So we went in there and we got the kind of VIP treatment because we were like family, we were connected and that sort of stuff. So that was nice. But at the very end, all the people got shots. And we went there with Brona's dad, who would be cousins of Pierce Lyons, and man, they gave us like 6 shots each, and I was like, Brona's dad's in his 80s, and like I was like, I can't give my shots to Brona's dad, so we ended up having a few drinks there. So we stopped the 1 year no beer, and then we continued it in February 15, 2020, and it's now coming up to February 15th, 2021. So we haven't had a drop of no alcohol, no beer, no nothing. So it's been interesting. I found that I have a lot more time in my hands. I have a lot more money in my back pocket because I'm not spending it on money. And, I realized the price of alcohol, not in a monetary value, but also in a health and mental value as well. So it's interesting. Yeah,
definitely. There's a lot to it. And, the mental and the physical values of it as well. Particularly, a lot of people don't know what you were talking about there. The fat around your liver, otherwise known as visceral fat, which is not just around your liver, it can be around all your organs, is largely caused by alcohol or too much sugar or carbonated drinks. Which a lot of, if you're drinking spirits, usually over a long period of time, it can definitely have an effect on your physical, and if your physical health isn't in check, then your mental health's not going to be too great either, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to maybe you're still there connected. Could be the Wi-Fi here. But it's interesting because I'm here in a quarantined hotel, and they're ringing me every day, looking after, just saying, oh, how's your temperature, that's my physical health. But never have they asked me how's my mental health. So it is very, very important to look after your mental health. So I do look after it very, very much so, and I'm very conscious of it, and I don't allow, I guard it. My mind is everything, so I guard it. I don't let any robbers come into my mind, or at least I try not to. I don't let I'm not going to let a robber come into my house, like my physical house. So I'm not going to let any bad information come into my mind, So on occasion, it does. Of course, when you're flicking through the TV and you might see some CNN or whatever, and you're like, turn that off. But yeah, it is very important to look after your health, both mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health as well. So yeah.
Yes, it is, and I think it's a really interesting point you make there. Don't let the robbers into your mind and pollute your mind with them bad thoughts. But can be easier said than done, I think.
Yes.
What kind of ways do you manage that? Do you do journaling or meditation or anything?
Oh man, I didn't do journaling until my wife introduced it to me, and I was like, where has this been all my life? I mean, I have a book there, the Mel Robbins 5-second journal, and it's just like, and I find it so, like, I can feel it, you know, bubbling up in my mind. And then it's like, okay, I need to journal, Karl. But I also feel that on a physical sense, when I haven't gone to the gym in a long time, or I haven't worked out, or I haven't gone for a run, I'm like, I need to do something, because like I'm getting angsty here, I'm getting annoyed. But yeah, I do a lot of journaling, I do a lot of meditation and praying. That's one thing that I've been getting into in this last year, 2-3 years. Been on very much a spiritual journey as well, and it's incredible. I mean, it's just amazing. And you know, I do find that, you know, obviously sometimes you do find yourself slipping down, and you know, it's important to acknowledge it. It's important to be aware of it, but it's also important to know that you're going to be coming back up, you know. So peaks and troughs, you know. So it's all good.
I think that's
you want peaks and troughs, because otherwise it's just going to be a flat line, and you might as well be dead.
It's like if I'm with someone and they go, "Oh, the weather's terrible today." I know it is terrible today, but it makes you appreciate the days when the weather's good. And I think that's quite a simple, basic way to look at anything that's bad that you're going through. But that's how it is. The yin, the yang, the light, the dark. There can't be one without the other. And
absolutely.
One can't exist without the other, so you have to kind of find some peace in the balance of that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to be aware of that. Sorry, go ahead there.
You're right, man. One thing you mentioned there that was I want to jump onto, because I know this is going to be a big topic of this conversation, is you notice the monetary value that you save through not drinking alcohol. Now, I'd love to know what, and I imagine it was Robert Kiyosaki's book, but you tell the story about how did you get to creating the Cash Flow Club Ireland. I know you've got the other club, excuse me, I can't remember the name of it right now, I don't have it in front of me. The Facebook group, you know, so what was it called?
The Empaths Connect, Protect, Inspire Facebook group.
That's the one.
Yeah.
You know, these groups are to kind of teach people about finance, how to make sure that money's working for them. They're not always completely working for it, which is a concept that some people just don't get or understand.
You know. So
what brought that about, mate?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Brona, my wife, she was the one who basically, well, first of all, she introduced me to Robert Kiyosaki. And, you know, when I was working over in Japan in Toshiba, she said, like, look, you're going away for 5 weeks, you know, have a listen or have a read of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And, you know, I listened to it because I wasn't a big reader. I couldn't sit still. I'm quite energetic, if you haven't noticed, Jake. You know? So so I listened to it on audio, and it just you know, started to, you know, get the light bulbs going in my mind. And I was like, you know, this is something that a lot of people need. They don't, some people don't realize it there and then, but eventually they will come to the stage where, you know, they need it. And one day Brona was up late at night. She's the night owl, I'm the early bird. She woke me up in the morning and she goes, right, Karl, we're going to create a Facebook group. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, I said, about what? And she goes like, cash flow, you know, we'll do the Cash Flow Club and stuff like that. And, you know, we'll talk about Robert Kiyosaki, we'll do live videos, and, you know, we'll give value to all the members and all. I was like, all right, fair enough. Let's go with it, you know. So we started off, and we started that back in 2016 or 17, I think it was 17. So it's nearly like 4 years old. Yeah, it's been amazing. We've got some cool people in there. You know, yourself, you spoke in there as well. You know, we have speakers every Monday, and it's just been amazing. It's a hub of, you know, positive people and people that want to elevate their financial intelligence, their financial education. But, you know, it's no bullshit either. You know, we don't have the time for people who are messing about, you know, throwing out spam emails and stuff, or spam links and stuff like that. You know, you can use another group for that, pal. You know, like it is, you know, it is so important, because like this financial education is key if you're in business. It's also key if you're in employment as well, because you gotta know money, you gotta understand it. You know, I'm not saying that I understand it all. There's so much. I mean, I'm reading a book at the moment, just want to throw it out there, A Brief History of Money. and I actually got this as a Christmas present, and you know, it's incredible. There's so much in it because, you know, if you don't know the history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's a quote by someone famous. I don't know, but like, you know, you do have to know about the history of money, what it is, like, you know. So, you know, and it's important. It's up there with oxygen, you know. So yeah, it's cool.
It's important, and I think that, and I've literally, this has just come to me. I've just thought about it. You know, I'm someone who works with money a lot. Obviously, I've got a few different businesses, and you have to be smart with your money, otherwise, you know, you're not smart with your business, essentially. And like the way that, you know, particularly as I was a tradesman for 15 years, and it won't be a surprise for anyone that's worked with a tradesman. We work with a lot of cash usually. That's all that goes. But you notice that there's a big difference when you're dealing with a lot of cash, and there's a physical, you know, lump of cash there, to just seeing numbers on a screen. You kind of get somewhat detached from the emotional connection with just those numbers on a screen to a pile of actual tangible cash you can feel in your hand. And I think, you know, as we are more and more now just using plastic or sometimes just our phone to pay for stuff, it can, if we're not careful, detach us more from what you said there, you know, which is the history of money, and knowing about it and knowing that history, so you don't make the same mistakes that were made in history.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that about, you know, cards and using your phone to pay. Like in China, like, wow, I mean, it opened up my eyes so much to the power of China, and you know, to where they're at amongst the different countries of the world and the other, you know, high power countries, or so they think. You know, so yeah, when we were in China, I mean, we were going into banks, and you know, they were selling gold in banks, and that really hit me. Because, you know, I have a brother and a sister who came back from Canada. They were living over there, and they were talking about, you know, the banks in Canada, saying that, you know, they'll just give you a credit card. And I'm like, that's the difference between someone who is in control and someone who's not in control. You know, the people that are in control, you know, they own the most gold. They own the most, you know, they have the control of the people. And, you know, they're the creditors. They're the people with the money, or the gold. The other people are the ones that just, you know, get you into bad debt, you know. So it's very important to obviously know the difference between bad debt and good debt as well. But yeah, really opened up my eyes, because in China it was just all WeChat Pay, Alipay, and it's just like boom.
Yeah.
You didn't really carry cash. And I remember coming back to Ireland, and you know, I remember holding my wallet, and I was like, I don't have a use for my wallet anymore. Like, you know, wallets there's no need for wallets anymore, nearly, because, you know, I have a phone here, and then I just put my card here at the back of it, like, you know. So two cards. So it's like, okay, yeah, if I lose the phone, I lose the cards, you know, same with the wallet.
I do always say that. You're absolutely stuffed if you lose your phone.
Yeah, oh, big time. But yeah, so it's a real eye opener, you know, to see that with different countries as well, and see what way they operate as well. And you know, I know Taiwan here, like they kind of have cash as well. So that's interesting. Like, I'm gonna be going back into cash, but then you have the whole like COVID and, you know, not touching cash and washing your hands and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, it's super interesting.
I mean, everything you see is heading towards cashless, isn't it? Even in the 5 years I've been here in Australia, you've seen it move a lot more towards cashless in that time. To the point now where I think, and this is really probably true, certainly for the, I can only speak to places that I've been to, certainly for the UK, certainly for Australia, that it's more weird now to get some cash out of your pocket and go, I'll pay with cash, you know. Automatically, if you're at a restaurant, a bar, or a shop, they go to pass you the card machine first without even thinking about it. And you're like, I'll pay the old method if you like. You know, some places you even have to go, do you take cash? You actually have to ask them.
Yeah. It's weird.
How old are you, Karl?
30.
So I'm 32. So obviously, you know, we remember a time when cash was I make myself sound really old when I say that. We remember. Terrible.
Yeah, I remember the days.
When cash was the president, right? And it was like, you know, can I pay with my card? Is that all right? So it's flipped on. It's flipped there. Definitely changed.
Yeah, like a lot of people say, like, you know, cash is king and stuff like that, and you know, to a certain extent, it still is. I mean, like, you know, it'd be nice to have like a big wad of like 10, 100 grand right in front of you, like 100%, like that would be cool. Imagine the amount of people that you can help with that amount of money. But data is the new king. You see it with all these big technology companies. The ones that have the most data are the ones that are in control, and you see it here. So, you see it in a lot of Asian countries, and you see it in a lot of tension between, big, powerful countries as well. So it's interesting how it's going to be played out. But then, when it comes to data or data, whatever way you want to say it, you get into the realms of cryptocurrency as well, because people that are into cryptocurrency move away from cashless. They move away from, a centralized banking system. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a fascinating time to be alive and fascinating time to learn. I'm telling you that much, because all I do is learn, and every day is a school day. So it's
every day is a school day, mate. I firmly agree with that. I think the only person who thinks they know everything and stops learning is a fool, really.
Oh, big time.
Particularly, as things are changing so fast, and in the financial space. I mean, you touched on cryptos there, man. I'll tell you what. I remember it would have been, must have been 2015, 16, and people going, you should get some of these bitcoins, or you should get some of these Ethereum. And I didn't. And obviously, I mean, how many people think that now? Though? Did you get into cryptos early when it was a good time?
Yeah. I'm into crypto, and the reason why I'm only into crypto is because of Robert Kiyosaki. I literally do what he says. I follow what he says, and I'll get what he has. Initially, of course, like I've a kind of an engineer in mind, so initially when it comes to change, you're a little bit skeptical. Not many people like innovation. I mean, taxis don't like Uber, hotels don't like Airbnb, banks don't like Bitcoin, so I do understand the kind of scared mentality, the change, and it's powerful. I'm still learning about it, and actually, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some phenomenal speakers in the Cashflow Club talking about cryptocurrency. It's a lot. I mean, people are talking about it a lot, and it's something to just be aware of, and just keep an ear to the ground with it. Don't let it out of your sight. Don't dismiss it. I think that's the anyone that dismisses it without learning about it, that's the height of ignorance, and it is what it is. And there's a lot of high executives that say, it's great. There's a lot of executives, and companies that say, no, don't go near it. It's very, very important. This is what I learned from Robert Kiyosaki. It's very, very important to see each side of the fence and take on and think, not be swayed by anything, not be swayed by the crowd. Just be very, very mindful and think about, okay, well, what about this? I mean, I remember my man, when the hole in the wall, as we call it in Ireland, the hole in the wall, just an ATM, when that came in, people are like, I'm getting cash out of the ATM, the hole in the wall. What's all that about? Now look at it. Now they're gone, because we've gone into this cashless society. So we've kind of gone from the skepticism, oh, that's not going to work, to then people using it and getting a lot of value from it and getting a lot of usability out of it, and then to be not used now again. So it's so interesting. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. And I think something you said there was, there's people who are for it and against it, and you've got to be an observer of it all, and not jump on either side until you've probably heard both sides and made a fair, your own fair opinion and calculated opinion. And of course, if you're going to invest, then that has to be a calculated risk as well. But I get what you're saying. As an engineer, you can be somewhat pushed back on change,
big time.
Without, especially without data, without information.
You gotta back it up with data. You gotta back it up with third party, data, because otherwise they're not gonna believe you. A lot of engineers, but or anyone with numbers, any accountants or anything like that, anyone with numbers, you got to back it up, with data. So look, at the end of the day, it came out in 2009, for example, Bitcoin came out then, and it's just gone up and up and up. And, it's always interesting, when you take someone's advice, you buy their lifestyle, so that's very important, because if you take the advice off someone and their lifestyle is not the one that you want, sure, listen to their advice, but do not take it on. Like, don't do it. I mean, if Mary down the road, or John down the road is saying like, oh, that Bitcoin, or oh, don't get into property, or blah blah blah, and they have no experience in anything, then yeah, you can listen to them, chat to them and all, but like, why take on their advice? Listen to someone that has what you want.
I got a friend of mine called Barry Overton, who's a speaker and someone who's also trained by Les Brown, and he says, you don't want to be a copycat, but if you're copying the right cat, then that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people, they have this different mindset when it comes to competing and collaboration. I mean, our schooling system is taught to not copy, don't copy, don't compete, But when you're in the entrepreneur world and when you're in the business world, it's all about collaboration. It's all about networking. It's all about, hey, how can I help you? How can you help me? How can we help everyone? How can we help the world? And how can we make a world a better place and stuff like that? So it's an interesting shift of mindset,
Yeah, which I'll tell you what, that backs me right onto another quote by Bob Proctor, who said, amateurs compete where professionals collaborate. And it took me a while to digest that and think, what does that actually mean? And then I started collaborating with people and I understood it.
I mean, and sometimes the ego can get to you, and not like you. I'm just saying in general.
I'm only human, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you don't want to collaborate. You want to do it all by yourself. And then you realize, like, there is no self-made millionaire. Like, you don't come out of the womb just absolutely like with all this knowledge of everything. Like, there is no self-made millionaire. It's a collection of stories, a collection of books. It's a collection of, words that you've gotten, the films that you watch, the books that you read, the people that you surround yourself with. So it is very important to collaborate, and that's why I'm on this podcast, because I love this. It's absolutely incredible. I really do appreciate what you're doing as well. You're making it more aware for people to be like, you know what, I'm going to start that side hustle, or I'm going to start that idea that I had. So it's,
and I was just doing a bit of a stand. Thanks for that as well. I appreciate your kind words, man. I really do. I was cycling. I just went out for a cycle in between the last episode and this one, and because we did 2 today. And I was just cycling down the beach, and the last guy I had on, Maurice Baker, who's a really nice guy from originally from Jamaica. He said that the reason I do this is to try and inspire people to, if they want to start their own business, if they want to do something off their own back, if they just want to start something new, whether that be a hot side hustle or actually quit their job like I did and go out on their own as an entrepreneur, just to give them a bit of insight or a bit of inspiration. I'm not saying they should absolutely do it, because it's not for everyone, but if it just impacts one person, then that's fantastic for me. And I've had multiple people over the time of doing it come back and say that. And then I thought of one person, a mate of mine called Gavin Folger, who's in the UK. He might even be listening to this episode at some point. So big up Gavin if you do, because he just went, I remember he was watching the podcast, he's been in graphic design for years, and then I saw he was asking me the kind of questions that someone would ask who was thinking about going out on their own. And then lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago, I saw that he did it. So I was like, look, I'm not going to claim responsibility for that happening, but I'm sure that along the way he's got some inspiration from this stuff. And,
absolutely.
I put a lot of time and effort into it, and into making good episodes and finding good guests like yourself. Nice. And it's just nice now and again, I don't do it for the ego value of everyone going, oh, you're doing a great job and it's fantastic. But now and again, it is nice to know that people are actually getting value from what I'm doing, and that it's having a positive impact on the planet. Because, look, let's be honest, Karl, a lot of people lead that right now. There's a lot of people going through some tough times right now. And I think there's a lot of people spending a lot of time online. So it all kind of works out.
And it's difficult though, at the same time, when you're spending a lot of time online, it's so easy to be sucked into these all these groups or follow these comments, where you get the popcorn ready and you're just like, ooh, all this kind of negativity. Like negativity spreads 10 times quicker than positivity. So if we're talking positive, we have to kind of overcome the negativity. Like if we're talking good stuff, we have to overcome, it's very hard to actually sit down and have the discipline to listen to this as well. So whoever does, thank you. I appreciate it. And listen to the next one and listen to the next one, and get on to the 100 podcast as well. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So you won't want to miss 100th one, guys, I'll tell you that. But yeah, you're right there, Karl. On the note of discipline, it's something that's once you learn it, once you figure it out, and there's various ways of doing that, and then you apply it. You can really, once you've boxed it off, you can apply it to a lot of things then, and it has great values. And look, I imagine going back to the beer thing as you go for your water, happily. Going back to the no beer thing, right? That probably taught you a fair bit of discipline, or involved a fair bit of discipline.
Yeah.
You had your missus doing with you, so that was like accountability as well.
That's absolutely, accountability is needed, is absolutely needed. Like, you do need the accountability. Like, alcoholics that give up beer, like, they go to AA. So, I mean, that's their accountability. I'm grateful and blessed that I have, a woman by my side who is, absolutely incredible. She'll be on your podcast as well, no doubt. And also, like, she picks me up, like, and I don't crave a beer or anything like that. It's all gone out of my system now anyway. But it's interesting because, for some people, that's their environment. That's what they live for, Friday and Saturday night. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't each sit around and all that jazz. Like, if it stirs you, if it makes you a better person, then by all means do what you need to do. Do you, boo? I'm just going to continue doing me. And when you're doing it and you decide, like, I'm going to give it up, like dry January or something, it makes you aware of, like, okay, is this something that I want to do going forward? Or, like, look, a lot of people enjoy the buzz of a night out. And, like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I mean, I'm going out next Friday night. I'm going to a nightclub here in Taiwan, and I just have this bottle of water in my hand, and I'm just going to bounce around, like, and it's going to be cool to, see a lot of people as well. So I'm grateful that I could do that as well. So, yeah. I mean, it does require a lot of discipline. I mean, discipline is something that, when it comes to your goals, discipline is the one that's going to get you quicker. You either want it now or you want it later. So, discipline is what's going to, get to your goals. You're going to hit your goals with discipline.
The tipping point. It's a tipping point for a lot of people.
Exactly.
It's the reason why a lot of people never reach the goals, and it's the reason why a lot of people make a lot longer than they thought they were going to actually reach them. But look, I'm someone who loves a big night out as well, mate. Even a big day out. I mean, I've worked in parties, event promotions, nightclub promotions for years, and through parties. Nice. That was kind of one of my first little entrepreneurial things when I was 18. So I love it as well. And I think that, again, it's about balance, it's about discipline, and it's, again, sometimes it's like, why am I actually going out? Is this the third or fourth time I've been out this week just because I'm not really dealing with what's actually going on in my life, and I'm just trying to mask stuff? Or am I just caught up in a little party phase, and this is probably going to play out in a few weeks or months, I think, mentions and reasons are a good thing to look at, and no one does it until they're a little bit older.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, when you're older, well, I mean, age does not define maturity, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of time to think about, I mean, do you want to be hungover or not? Like, I personally cannot deal with a hangover. Like I just can't. I get, like, fearful and stuff. What did I say to that person? Oh my God! Like, what bollocks was I talking there? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like, right, if I can choose, which I can't, and not do that, grand, happy days. But, like, you'll still see me the first person on the dance floor, 100%.
Yeah. You got energy about you, and that's good. That's good. I guess when you get to a point when you're not drinking for so long, you're like, well, I actually don't need to drink to have fun, And I've not been drinking and actually, no, look, I'm going to be completely honest and tell the truth here. I've been doing a plan where I've not been drinking. I think I've had a shot of tequila and probably 2 beers over the last 3.5 weeks, and it's an 8-week plan so far. So, but it's like, it's really interesting going out and watching everyone else descend into madness, and then you have fun because you're watching everyone just act up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just needed to get past that little point at the start where everyone else was drinking, and now they're just acting up.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. It's interesting. It's cool though as well. I don't want anyone freaked out around me, like if they're drinking, because it can be a bit like intimidating as well. It's like, why aren't you drinking? So it's cool. It's cool either way.
And you get bored of having to explain yourself, particularly if you're doing it for like health and fitness. People are like, oh, that's stupid, you won't last long. And I'm like, actually, the fact that you've just said that will make me last even longer.
Big time. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt me.
Right. Karl, I know you're working on some books, aren't you, mate? You're about to become an author. Can you tell us a little bit more about them? Or can you not really talk about it?
Yeah, so I'm writing a book at the moment. I've got a little, I wouldn't even call it writer's block. I just decided that it's not in my priority to write it at the moment, but it's there. It's not ready. It will be. But it's going to be called The Engineer's Way to Entrepreneurship. So it's going to be kind of, it wouldn't be tailored towards just engineers, because I've got an engineering background. So that's kind of nearly all I know, It's not going to be just tailored to engineers. It's going to be tailored for anyone, any numbers related people, like accountants, anyone who who kind of needs the facts, the system, the process and stuff like that. So it's going to be a good one. I don't know when it's going to come out. Could come out this year, could come out next year. When it does come out, it will be a bestseller. Mark my words on that. So yeah, look, and it's going to be it's a manual. It's going to be a manual for anyone in any sort of field where they just want to delve in a little bit and just kind of go and see what it's about, and then they can use that as well. So it's going to be interesting. You've got a book coming out too as well, don't you?
I have, mate, and it's interesting. We'll get onto that in a sec, but I think that's when that book comes out, I'll definitely have you back on, because that really aligns really well with what this podcast is all about. Going from employee to entrepreneur, going from something that, and I'm not going to say, look, a job that you perhaps, I was going to say don't enjoy, but I'll use the word doesn't fulfill you anymore, because I think that's what a lot of people get to with a job. It's not that they don't enjoy it. It's just perhaps it just doesn't fulfill them as much as it used to. And I think it's easy to become stale and stagnant in that space, but really that's your intuition saying, come on, Karl, come on, Jake, come on, Tracy, come on, Susan. It's time to move on. It's time to get out of that comfort zone and adopt a new challenge in your life. So yeah, man, I look forward to seeing that book come out, and we'll definitely get you back on when it does.
Sweet.
But yeah, there's awesome. There's a book coming out called Hunger for the Hustle, for anyone who doesn't know. 33 people's stories of struggle to success, and that will be out in the next couple of months. All short chapters from people that have been through something pretty difficult, come out the other side with a lesson to teach you, the reader, and the majority of the proceeds are going to what's the charity called now? I keep getting it wrong. The Giving Circle, which is a charity which builds orphanages and schools in Uganda, which is kind of our way of giving something back, which is a really nice way of doing it. And in fact, we just figured out the other day we're going to leave a blank section at the back of the book, so people can write their own chapter, send it in to us, and that will keep the book series of books going forward.
Nice. I love that. I love the fact that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead, mate.
I love the fact that the profits are going to charity as well, because a lot of people, they fail to understand that the more money you make, the more people you can help. I bang on this a lot, in the cash flow group. It's not about making money so you can have lots of big fancy cars, big fancy houses and all. Yeah, that's one side to it. It's just one side to it. But the more money you make, the more people you help. If you have X amount of money, you can only help X amount of people. If you had X plus one, you can help that one extra person. So I love the fact that the profits are going to charity. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for making the world a better place as well, Jake. Appreciate that.
That's such a nice thing to say. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I've never heard anyone look at it like that before. The more money you make, the more people you can help. That's a really, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it right now. It's a good word.
Deep.
Deep. No, what's the word? No, it might come to me in a minute. There's another. I'm working on another book as well, which I'm a bit like you. I haven't got started on it yet, but I've got a lot of it together in my mind, which I imagine you have as well if you've been thinking about it for a while. And it's going to be called How to Move to the Other Side of the World and Get Away with It. And it's going to be the manual, the guide you buy for your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter when they emigrate and move to the other side of the world. Because physically, you get on a plane, you pack your stuff up, you're away. You might have to sell some stuff the other end, but mentally, this is the part that people don't talk about. You see, and it's difficult. Not just is it a difficult thing to do, but it's a difficult thing to succeed in and actually stay there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of of course, a lot of Irish people are going to relate to that book. Like, we're all over the world. I mean, I remember being in a small little suburb of Tokyo in Japan called Mito City. Myself and John were just walking around, and we just came across an Irish bar, and we were just like, fucking hell, like, we are literally everywhere. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was a tiny little city, and it was like another Irish bar, and I was like, oh my God. But like, it's so important, I think, to travel. I love to travel. I absolutely, like, travel is one of my biggest passions. I mean, I just, I grew up, watching Dave Attenborough and just seeing the world through the TV, through Dave Attenborough. I'm so grateful that, my wife, she actually wrote to Dave Attenborough, and we got a picture signed from Dave Attenborough, and that's cool. That's in my vault. That's like super. That's like it's an incredible little gift, and just seeing the world, seeing how much of the world is out there, and how much people don't travel. And look, I understand, people might travel because they don't have money or kids and all that sort of stuff. And, I get that, I understand that. I empathize with that, and, it's so important to, and you don't even have to travel around the world. I mean, just travel within your country. I mean, there's towns and places that I haven't been in Ireland. And I feel that, it is my kind of duty to go around and see more of my own country. Why not? See more people. Like, there's a fantastic, there's a fantastic hiker that I listen to and watch on YouTube. Michael Quinn is his name. And, during my times when I was away from Ireland, I'd always be watching his videos, because like his videos just brought me back for those like 10, 20 minutes, just brought me back to the scenery, the people that he'd meet and all, and just he's a great guy as well. He's a good storyteller as well. So it's interesting, it's beautiful to see as well. So that book, is going to be a good book. It's a lot of people.
Well, it's going to be a bestseller, man.
Nice.
Lovely. And that's the way you have to think about things. That's the way you have to adopt things, right? If you're going into something, just think it can be as big as it can possibly get. What's the biggest height it can get to? Then go even bigger than that, and that's where it's going to get to. It's like Les Brown said, people often fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, because they aim too low and hit. Their attitude, their thoughts, their self-worth is pretty low because of some reason, because maybe of something they've experienced in their earlier life, their parents, their teachers, their peers, their partners, It's give them limiting beliefs. And I think that particularly that could have been something that a lot of people are feeling from what's happened in the world in the past 12 months. But you got to crack that egg and break out of it and realize that, it's all about you and living from the inside out, not the outside in.
Absolutely. Your inner world creates your outer world. That's it. I mean, how you see the world is because of the thoughts that are in here, and it is what it is, and if you want to change it, you're not a tree, as Jim Rohn says. You're not a tree, you can move. So
Mate, I've had some great fun talking to you. We've got absolute gems there for anyone watching this. If you have just joined this 48 minutes in, you're going to want to rewind to 1 minute in, because there's been some great value here for anyone that wants to learn about finance, anyone that wants to learn a bit about Karl and his story, and anyone that just wants to better themselves in any way. There's been certainly a lot of gems in here. Karl, I know you've got a few links here, but do you want to? I'll put them in the comments, so they're in the show notes.
Yeah.
You just want to tell people where the best place to connect with you is?
Yeah, Facebook, Karl Davidson, Instagram, following Karl Davidson, Snapchat, KDAV29, LinkedIn, Karl Davidson, Twitter as well. Any of the big ones. I'm on WeChat as well for all the Asian people. I'm online as well for all the Taiwanese people as well. So
he's out there. He's out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm always interested in connecting with people as well. Like, I think, you know, everyone has a story, and it's always nice to chat to people as well and hear different backgrounds and stuff like that, and just grow your mindset, you know.
Absolutely. Good on you, Karl. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for listening, everyone. Whatever platform you're listening on, wherever you are in the world, I do appreciate it. If you got some value from the show, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a subscribe, and share it with someone else who you think might enjoy this episode, get some value from it. Stay hungry, folks, and keep hustling. Thanks, Karl.
Thanks very much, Jake. Thank you.